Friends, welcome back to Diaries of a Homosexual. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Chris J. And today, I want to tell you about plastic surgery. And you may be like, Chris J, what do you know about plastic surgery? Well, guess what I had done? I had a boob job. I'm kidding. Well, not entirely. I did get some tissue sucked and tucked, nips cut, fully like on the table. And at one point I did have one giant C-cup breast on my left side. That one was not intentional though. Basically, for those of you that don't know, a lot of the time when you're a bigger kid, and like I was quite a big kid, I was 5'9", probably over 200 pounds, which is I think around like 94, 95 kilograms. For those of you that use whatever system, I don't discriminate. I was a bigger kid, and when you're a bigger kid, you sometimes can get something called gynecomastia, which is basically male breast tissue. And it's like usually like right under your nipple. It like can be severe, it can be not super severe. In my case, like it wasn't super like severe because it wasn't, I think it is genetic because I think my mom mentioned that my dad had it. Basically what my doctor told me was that it was formed because when I was going through puberty, I was so overweight that like my body just like somehow made breast tissue. Don't really know how that happened, but it was kind of interesting because it's like basically I had like man boobs, and when I lost the weight and like felt a lot better about myself, there was still just like I didn't feel totally comfortable in the clothes that I was wearing all the time, especially like t-shirts. Like it really mattered to me what kind of fabric it was because some of them like I didn't think looked flattering on me. And I started going to the gym way more, and I would try and really build up like my upper chest to get rid of it, and I never felt comfortable. I would never wear a tank top. I just still kind of felt like it was the last part of me that I was still really insecure about. And I'd honestly never even thought that it was something that I could fix. But it was something that I was aware of every single day, like truly every single day. Every time I would look in the mirror, I would look at my body and absolutely hate it. And I was so mad at my younger self for so long for, I guess almost just like being overweight, which is such a stupid thing because it's like the poor kid was just like living his fucking life and like having a great time. And I don't know, because it's weird because I look back at like my childhood memories and I don't even remember being a big kid. Like I never like saw myself as that until people started making comments to me about how big I was and about how like my titties fucking swung like back and forth like I was Moto from Madagascar when I was like swimming underwater. I started feeling awful about myself. It was really prevalent in school, especially when I was younger, and we started changing in the change room because I think it was like once we got to grade like 3 or 4 or maybe even 5, you got gym clothes. So you like didn't just like wear what you normally wore. You would like have to go into the change room, boys change room, girls change room, and like change into your like uniform gym clothes. And I remember going into the change room and I was terrified. And I'd known these kids for years, you know what I mean? But you're not like stripping down into your fucking underwear in front of all these guys. And also like most of my like close friends were like girls. And some of the guys were just like being fucking assholes, and just I remember there was one time, I think I told this in like my Catholic school episode, but there was one time where I was in the change room changing and these guys had like taken a dodgeball, like a rubber dodgeball, and like peed on it in the toilet, and then they were throwing it around the fucking change room, also at me. Like I definitely got hit with the pee ball. It was so awful. But I just remember I used to like there was one stall in the change room and I would go into the stall and change. But then people were like starting to almost be like, oh, like, why do you go in the stall? Why do you go in the stall? Like, are you gay? Like, ha ha ha, and stuff like that. And so then I was like, okay, well, Krisha, like, just fucking take your shirt off, take your pants off, like, and just turn around. And so I would like turn around, face the wall, and I would change as quickly as humanly possible. When I tell you my shirt and pants came off and were switched, I made up this method where I would like take my shirt off, but start putting my new shirt on. And so like there was a piece of clothing attached to me at all times. And then I would do it so quickly. I would turn around and like go to gym class. But then the material for like my gym clothes in middle school and also in high school, because in high school I also went to a private Catholic school, and like we had gym clothes, and the material, like, now I would love those gym clothes. Then, holy shit, I felt like they were like hanging off my tits like a fucking hanger. I had two fucking cones pointing either side. It was just really noticeable. I felt so insecure, constantly pulling at my neckline, pulling at my shirt, trying to make myself feel comfortable. And, you know, most of these guys were like fairly athletic. It was a big sports school. I remember first day of gym class having to do the 2,400 meter run, which is like, I want to say like 3 or 4 times around the football field, like running. And like, let me tell you, I did not run. At this point, I did not run. Later, I joined the cross country team and I was second best on the, I think, varsity cross country team. Little thing to note, there were only 2 people on the team. But still, if I leave out that like detail, actually, one time I think I missed my race, and the guy, like the coach, he was like, "It's okay, just run JV." He was like, "If anyone asks, you're 16." I was like, "Okay, cool." But anyways, I remember having to run this race, and I think it was maybe like lap 2. Most people were done already, and then I was coming around, and the guy was like the coach was like, "Oh, are you done?" And I was like, "Oh no, I still have one more." And you could just tell he was like, "Oh." So I kept running, basically like a walking run at this point. I was tasting blood. Like, I don't know if you have ever worked out, especially when you're like bigger and you like taste blood. Like, I felt like I was gonna cough and my lung was gonna pop out of my mouth. Genuinely, it was so bad. But I remember the coach being like, "Oh, guys, like, cheer him on." Also, I didn't really know a lot of these people yet, and I wanted to fucking die. Eventually, I remember one day when I was leaving to go home, there was kind of like, so there's like the main school, and then you would go like to the basement, which was kind of like a walkout basement. So it was like dug out outside. So you could, it was underground, but you could like walk out and there were like stairs up to like the football field and like the field. There's like an underground tunnel, and then you'd go through this underground tunnel, and then you'd come out to the like cafeteria, and then you would keep walking, and there was a big gym. So it was like kind of detached from the school, but it was like underground. And then at the very top, like, of the bleachers, there was like a waiting area, and that's where I would get picked up. And so at the end of the day, like, I would go to this place. It was called like the Multiplex, I think. I would sit there with like lots of other guys and stuff and some of my friends, like, waiting to get picked up. I remember there was this one hoodie that I'd gotten from, I think it was Urban Outfitters, which, like, in the day was the shit. I think that store is closed down now, because originally, like, that was like in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which, if you don't know that, like, makes sense. Like, who the fuck lives in Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada? It was like Urban Outfitters was like huge. I remember I got this like orange and white kind of like galaxy sweater. Looking back, I'm like, holy shit, that thing was hideous. But I wore it everywhere. Like, I would not take it off. Truly, it was like my favorite sweater. I just felt like the material was like thicker, so I felt like really good in it, and I thought it like made me look good. It was also this time that I kind of had developed a bit of, well, quite an eating disorder, which I feel like is so common, especially for gay men. Like, I feel like I actually don't know if I've talked to a gay man that hasn't struggled with eating, especially like around my age. I did a whole episode on it. If you want to go watch that, I think it was like called like opening like eating disorder. I don't know. Who knows? It's in the discography. But I at this point was eating like a couple pieces of fruit a day, and then on occasion I'd have some like Eve's vegan chicken nuggets, and I was losing a lot of weight, but because I had no muscle, I was almost like kind of skinny fat, and so I would like be skinny, but then when I would wear like these gym shirts, like my fucking nips were popping through like the pyramids of Giza, and I don't know, I just like still had like a little bit of a belly. It was almost like you took me and you just like put me into Facetune and like trimmed in the side. I remember I was sitting in this multiplex lounge in my favorite sweater that I felt like such a baddie in, and this guy came up to me and was like, "Oh, I like your sweater." And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." Urban Outfitters. And then this other guy who I was like kind of friends with, let's call him like Derek. Derek came up and fucking went, "Oh, don't be fooled. He's got a belly under there. Hey, Chris J." And fucking like grabbed my stomach and jiggled it. Yeah, moment of silence. When I tell you, I wanted to fucking die. Because this, like, it's one thing to think certain things about yourself and feel like shit about yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and think that you're fat and look at yourself in the mirror and think that you're not good enough. It's another thing when someone else does that to you. And when your own beliefs, your negative beliefs about yourself are confirmed by other people, that is probably the worst feeling. Add on top of that, my like fucking peak eating disorder. I developed like some like health issues because like I just wasn't fucking eating, which is so important. Like, eat, guys. Like, I'm so dead ass. It's like kind of helpful because I remember like eventually like it got to the point where like I dead ass was like almost hospitalized. It was really close, and I wasn't, luckily, but I remember having to go to my gym teacher and tell him, "Hey, I'm not allowed to participate in gym class because I can't have excessive exercise." And I didn't really feel comfortable saying that it was an eating disorder because I was really insecure about that, and I felt like people would like look at me and be like, "You have an eating disorder? Like, that looks like you've been eating too much, bud." Like, you know what I mean? And so I just said I had like a heart condition. And then I would sit in the bleachers while everyone else was in class, and everyone was like, "Oh, like, why aren't you in gym class?" And I'd be like, "I just like have a heart condition." Like, yeah. And then people would like sometimes ask follow-up questions, and I would just be like, "It's too hard to talk about. I didn't have a heart condition. I just didn't fucking eat because y'all made me feel like shit." Not just them. That was also like my own thing too. Like, it really is your own battle. It's just like I feel like it was exacerbated by all these other people and all these comments that I would get. And I remember when I was probably about 16, so this was right after, so I ended up coming out in grade 10 during COVID, and then I went to my mom and I was like, "Mom, I cannot go back to this school." I felt so terrified. I felt like everyone would hate me. I didn't have a ton of close friends at that school. And I was terrified that the ones that I did have would not want to be my friend anymore. And I don't think I necessarily went about it the right way because, you know, I kind of just like left and never said anything or talked to anyone ever again. And then eventually I started dating this guy. Let's call him Noah. And I've talked about Noah before. Noah was my first boyfriend, and we met on Instagram, and it started off really good. I think I've done full episodes on this. He was definitely an interesting individual. He ended up like lying to me about like going to school, and he like never graduated high school, which like is fine, but like don't lie to me about it. He ended up just being like really not great towards me. There's a couple times he'd like make comments on my acne, but there was one time specifically where I like had tried on these pants that I'd gotten from my friend, and he walked in the room and he was like, take those off, like you have to change. And I was like, oh, what? And he was like, yeah, no, like those pants are, you look trans, like your hips are so wide. And I was shocked. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I'm not going out in public with you in those pants, like you literally look trans. So I took off the pants, I changed them, and I never wore them again. There was another time when I was changing and I had just taken off my shirt, and I remember he looked at me and he was like, Krisha, you look anorexic. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, but like maybe you have like low testosterone or something, because like, I don't know, your body's just kind of a weird shape. What do you mean it's a weird shape? Literally, I was anorexic, hadn't admitted it to myself. What do you mean I have a weird body shape? And I never forgot that. That was probably one of the major, like, first big blows that led me eventually to getting plastic surgery. The next one that I still think about it, and I don't think I'll ever really forget it. I think it's so insane sometimes, like, how these people that, like, have said these things so flippantly and probably, like, didn't really mean anything by it, like, I don't know, have fully forgotten that that ever happened or they ever said that. Like, there's no way they'd probably remember it. But these are things that I will carry with me my entire life, like, truly. And I think that's so insane. But this was my, like, first kind of, like, actual long-term boyfriend. I've talked about him before too. I actually just heard through the grapevine that I think him and the guy that he dated, like, a few weeks after we broke up, I think they broke up now. So I was like, oh no. Hope you're miserable. But there was this one time where it was after a shower and we were just getting ready in the mirror, and he said the same thing. He was like, you know, like, you look good, but like you kind of have a weird body shape, hey? What? Girl? Like, I forget what he said exactly, but he like talked about like my chest, and I was like, oh yeah, like, at this point I didn't know I had gyno for sure. I assumed what it was. I didn't really even know what it was. I just like knew that like I kind of had some fucking titties. His comment, whatever he said about it, I don't necessarily remember the exact words that he used, but I can remember exactly how it felt. And I feel like when I remember this, it brings me back there entire. Like, I can feel, if I think about it, I can feel exactly how I felt in that moment. And I literally never wanted to like show my body again. And you know, anyways, when we ended up breaking up, it was, you know, really unexpected for me. Looking back, there were definitely for sure signs that he was going to do that. I just didn't expect a lot of like what he said after. Like, you know, he was basically saying like, oh, like putting effort into a relationship with me wasn't worth it. Like, he laughed at me and was like, did you think we were going to get married? Like, it was just this person that I thought I knew so well was not that person at all. And I've definitely like moved on and moved past it, but I don't think I'll ever truly forget. It's not even about him, but it's more so the trust I placed in him. And I felt like I could trust him fully. And even now, I'm like really, I haven't had another like proper serious like long-term relationship, and it's really hard for me to trust people, like specifically in relationships, because if he could basically keep this secret of, oh, like, well, I'm just gonna break up with him when I go away for whatever, like, I fully sat him down multiple times and was like, oh no, like, if you want to move away eventually, like, it was like medium distance, you know, that's fine. But if you don't want to try long distance, then I think we should end it here. And he'd always be like, oh no, totally, like, I love you, like, of course we will. Ended up 4 days before, he's like, yeah, never mind. And then was like laughing about it. So wasn't a super great feeling. A few weeks later, maybe a month later, he's dating someone else. You know, of course, I like internet sleuth I am, found out who this person was. And honestly, they were really hot. Like, they were really hot. And I couldn't help but feel like, fuck, he left me because I'm fat and ugly. And it sent me back into this person that I was in high school when I was getting my belly jiggled in the multiplex, you know? And so a few days later, like I got on this flight to Germany because I was going to be in Germany for like 3.5 months. And, you know, I was dating lots of German men, having a great time, living it up. But if it ever went past kissing, like shirts were coming off, I would get so scared and I didn't want to do it. And I couldn't enjoy the physical aspects of these things without thinking, oh my God, I literally have fucking tits. Like, they're gonna think I'm ugly. They're gonna think it's weird. Like, I was disgusted with myself. And I remember one night I came across like a video on TikTok about this like surgeon doing like surgery like on like gyno. And so I was like, fuck, like I think I need to do this because I'd tried everything. Like I'd been going to the gym, and I know for some people like it can definitely help, and it definitely does help. But at this point I was like, you know what? I think I was 19 at the time, and I wanted to be able to live my life and not worry about this, because this was the one last thing that I felt I carried with me. This was my biggest insecurity from when I was younger. And I'm like, if I can do something about this, it will truly change my life. And so I went online and I looked for a plastic surgeon in my city in Canada, while I was in Germany. And I ended up finding this doctor, and I looked at some of their like before and after pictures. I reached out through email and was like, hey, like I'm interested in your gynecomastia surgery. I'd like to book a consultation for when I get back. So they emailed me back pretty quick, and they said, hey, yeah, we require, I think it was like $150 or $200 like consultation fee or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, like, am I doing this? And like funds were running low. Like I was living life in Germany. Like I also did a whole episode on Germany. I feel like this episode too, like it really like there's so much back lore, and I hope you're like following. But if you want to like deep dive more into this, I go in so much more detail in like previous episodes. Like there's a Berlin episode. There's like, I feel like every ex has a fucking episode too. But you know what? I feel like the worse they do me, the more I talk about them. Like, their fucking fault. Like, don't be a bitch then. So anyways, I had the best time in Germany, came home, and then about a month later, it was time for my consultation. So I went in, and I was terrified. I'd never had surgery. I think I broke a bone when I was like 6 months old from climbing out of my crib, but like I don't remember that. Like I don't do hospitals. I don't do like surgery. It always like really terrified me. Like the idea of someone like literally cutting me open. And so I went into this consultation. She asked me to take off my shirt, and she took her marker out and started like sketching on my fucking titties. Like, and she said, you know what? Like, I think you're a really good candidate. She asked me, you know, like why I wanted to do it. And then she basically sent me out, and then had this other girl, one of her assistants or receptionists, I guess, come in and talk to me. So basically there was her fee for doing the surgery, and then there was the like hospital fee, which was that I had like two options. And she was like, honestly, like they're both great. I'm going to be doing your surgery. She's like, just like you can do either, but like if you go with the cheaper one, like you're fine. Like you're still going to get an incredible experience, incredible treatment. And I was like, okay. So I probably at this point had maybe $1,000 in my bank account. I got this bill, and it was $10,000. So I was terrified. I cried on my way home because I wanted this so bad, like more than anything. But I didn't have $10,000. And I also wasn't about to go to like my parents. And I don't know. To this day, I don't think my dad knows I had surgery. I just felt like people wouldn't understand, or maybe they would like dismiss, like, why would you spend $10,000 on that? Like, like, that's a lot of money. But like, no one knows you better than you. And this like affected my life every day. Like, every day. Every time I would put on a shirt, every time I would go shopping, every time I would talk to a guy, every time I would go swimming, it followed me everywhere because it was literally attached to my fucking body. I had two fucking pylons on my chest sticking out, being like, woohoo, like, here I am, like, titties out, like, you were a fucking fatty. And I didn't want that anymore. I had cried about this so much. I hated the way I looked. I'd gone to the gym. I'd done everything I could. I was pretty happy with everything else. I could not for the life of me get rid of this because it wasn't fat. It was literal like breast tissue. Like, I literally had fucking titties. So I ended up getting 2 jobs while I was in school, and I worked at a bar and would like make tips, and I booked my surgery date for April a year in advance. And I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna fucking do it, but I have a year to save up 10 grand. It's just gonna work out. I didn't tell anyone. I was probably like 3 months out, and I'd saved up about like $9,000. So I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna be good. I ended up like getting a message from the hospital, and they were like, hey, you are gonna have to have someone to be your caretaker for you because you're gonna have a few days of like bed rest and like downtime just while you're in recovery. You know, a lot of my friends were working full time, and I had to have someone like with me all the time. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to like tell my mom. And so I phoned my mom and I told her everything. And she was so great about it, really understanding. My mom ended up booking a flight to come take care of me after my surgery, which was incredible. Like, I'm so beyond grateful for her and that she would do something like that, because I know it was definitely a lot. And I ended up saving the money. I had the $10,000 to have surgery, and I sent it off. Whew, that hurt. When I tell you, it hurt sending the money and seeing it leave my bank account and having like $400 left. I was like, ooh, this is so bad. But like, money comes back. And like, by the end of summer, I literally ended up, I think I like went to Rio. Like, it was fine. It was time for surgery, and I was terrified. I was excited, and I knew that it was worth it and it was what I wanted to do, but truly I was terrified. And so I remember on surgery day, I woke up. It was like this surgery place on top of a furniture store. Like, think like the Backrooms movie furniture store, exactly like that. But like, I was having surgery on top of that. And I remember I went in, they gave me my like gown, and then the anesthesiologist came in and was like asking me questions like, have you ever been under anesthesia? I was like, no. He was an older guy, and I remember getting on the table terrified, like literally felt like I was in Grey's Anatomy. All these like, there was like some nurses like around, they were very sweet. I remember the guy, like the anesthesiologist, he was like, oh, so like, do you have a girlfriend or anything? And I was like, oh no, I'm gay. And you could tell he was just like, oh. And the nurses were cackling. But anyways, so he like put the needle in, and the anesthesia needle, for any of you who like have never had surgery, it's really like not bad at all. Like, truly, like, I was scared. It's like, you're so fine. The worst part is like the recovery. But the needle goes in, and it like kind of like stings a little, but it's not like unbearable. It's like you feel it, but you can tolerate it. And then they basically are just talking to you, and then you start feeling like drunk, and then you just like pass out, and it's like 10 seconds. And I remember like, I think they were like, okay, count down from 10. And I was like, I think I got to 6, and I was like, out. Cut to maybe like an hour or two later, I wake up. I'm like where am I? The nurse comes up to me. She's like, oh, thank God you're speaking English. I was like, what? And she was like, you've been speaking German for the last half an hour. Like, I had to call your mom to translate, but your mom said that she doesn't speak German and that your family's not actually German at all. So then I was really worried about brain damage, but I don't know how you could have gotten brain damage. And I was like, oh yeah, no, like I just dated like German men. And so like I like had to learn German. And she was like, oh, interesting. She was a real one though, like my queen. I got like, after you have these, you basically get like a compression top. And so I got like this compression top, went home, and I was definitely a little sore, but like for the most part I was okay. There was like lots of bruising. I still at this point wasn't supposed to take off my compression top at all, so I didn't know what it looked like. I was honestly kind of scared. But that night I was watching a show, and I just noticed that like over time my like left chest was just getting bigger. And she said that some swelling was normal, my surgeon, and that, there might be some blood in there, but hopefully it's just going to drain. Because when you get rid of your breasts, so if you have like a breast reduction, or a lot of female to male trans people will, like when they have their like chest surgery, they get like drains, because like there's blood and it like drains out, and then you have to like basically empty it. Otherwise you would literally have a hematoma, which is like internal bleeding. So because mine like weren't super big, and they just kind of like cut around my nipple, like at this point now, like you literally can't see the line, like you can't see the incision. They cut like right around my nipple, I guess, but like you would never know. And I remember going, and I was like, am I gonna have like those like big lines? She was like, no babes, like you don't have tits, you have breast tissue, like we're gonna cut around your nipple, like you're never gonna know. And I was like, okay. And now like I'm like, oh wow. Like sometimes I'll show my friends, I'm like, yep, here are my titties. And they're like, wow, like you would never know. I would wear this like thing, and I would have to shower in it, but I couldn't get it wet, so I would take like sponge shower baths. It was really disgusting. Like I felt awful. And my amazing mother would bring me food and like bring me Gatorade and like check on me, make sure I was okay. But this first night I called her in, because at this point I was like, okay, my left tit is a fucking C cup breast. I don't think this is normal. And so I phoned my surgeon. She picked up, God bless her. And I was like, hey, I'm really worried. Like, I know you said there was some swelling, but like my titty's jiggling. Like it's huge. Like I at this point had a bigger left boob than most of my friends. And she was like, okay, well that definitely doesn't sound normal, but just come in at like 7 a.m. and we'll take a look at it. And so I was kind of terrified, because I was like, oh fuck, like am I gonna die? It wasn't that dramatic, but we ended up going to the hospital at 7 a.m. and the surgeon came out, and she was like, oh hey, how are you? And then she looked and was like feeling around. She was like, oh yeah, so like unfortunately you do have a hematoma. All of that, like that giant boob you have, is blood. And I was like, great. She was like, I was hoping not to have to put drains in, because it was such a small incision, but like we'll just drain it and put tubes in for you, like drainage tubes, and you'll be fine. But she's like, but we'll get you into surgery like now. And so I was waiting there for a couple hours. I had like the nurse come. I think she like gave me an IV, and then at one point I like passed out because I couldn't eat or drink anything before the surgery. And this poor, like I was literally in the waiting room, and then this like little girl and her dad were across, and I literally just start going gray and fainting. And then the daughter, you could tell, was so terrified, and I felt so bad. But I ended up going back into surgery. And one of my best friends from back home, Brooke, oh, if you're listening to this, I love and miss you, but her stepdad worked at the hospital, and so he like came and visited me, which was super, super nice, because I was definitely like kind of scared for this one too. And then this really hot anesthesiologist came in. Like, you guys, he was gorgeous, and I have never looked so chopped. Like, oh, when I tell you, I had like neck beard, fucking like hadn't showered because I like couldn't, like, I'm sorry, like I swear I'm so hygienic and clean, you guys, but like this was bad. And he was like so fucking hot, and he was like, oh, like I'll be your anesthesiologist. And I was like, great. Fantastic. So go into surgery. And I remember asking, I was like, do you guys have a playlist? Like, what kind of music do you listen to? And he was like, oh, like, we usually just like let one of the nurses like play a playlist because like they always have the good music because nurses run that motherfucking hospital, dead ass. But then one of the nurses was like, do you have any song requests? Like, do you have a song you want to go out to? And I was like, 365 Charlie XCX featuring Shy Girl. And so I remember I turned to my surgeon and I was like, do you know this one? And at this point, the anesthesia was starting to hit. And she was like, no, I don't. And all I hear was 365 Party Girl, 365 Party Girl. Boom, fucking out. I literally, oh my God, fucking getting hematoma surgery listening to Charlie XCX. That was not on my like 2025 or I guess 2024 bucket list. Like, but I feel like Charlie would be so proud. And Shy Girl, fucking love her. Body is a Lot, BAWDY. Go check it out. Literally best song I heard. There was this guy from Tinder who like put it on his like Instagram story, and I literally hit him up after like we stopped talking just to be like, what is this song? I woke up later in the hospital. I was fine, and then I had these two fucking octopus tentacles coming out of the sides of me with like these like little pumps or like I don't know how to explain it other than like it was like I had clear tube tentacles coming out of each side, and then there was like the end of a turkey baster at the end of it, and it was like full of blood. And I was like, great. And so then my surgeon came in and was like, okay, so these are your tubes. Basically what I had to do was the bulb part of the drain would come off, and I would have to pour it into a cup, like a graduated cylinder, and measure how much blood came out. And then I had a chart where I would write down the time and how many milliliters came out. And I think for probably like maybe like 5 days to like a week, like I was on my period, except instead of bleeding out of a cooch, like I was bleeding out of the sides of my abdomen. And I would like, the first couple days were kind of brutal, you know, and like these tubes are like out like in my fucking body, and so I couldn't lay on my side. If I would like move a little bit, like I would feel the tube like move under my like side. It was such a weird feeling, like such an odd feeling. And I would like go to the bathroom, like drain swinging, pour, like go pee, pour out my blood, measure my blood. Like it was so odd, but I also just felt like so week, and I was like, fuck, like I hope this is worth it. After a couple weeks, I was able to like start, you know, properly showering again. There was still lots of bruising, but I remember the first time I took off the compression vest, I felt like I didn't really have feeling in like my chest. And even now, honestly, like I don't really have feeling in my nipples. Like I know some like maybe TMI, but like some guys are like really into like fucking nipples. But I remember one time this guy was like, I don't know, like touching my nipples, and he was like, oh, do you like that? And I was like, I actually have no feeling there. And he was like, oh, what? And I was like, yeah, like these are fake, babes. I remember like actually seeing it for the first time, and it was kind of like purple and black, and you know my nips were like a little shriveled because they were in this compression vest for so long. But I remember touching it and feeling like it's flat. And you know, like she also kind of snatched me. Like she definitely like contoured it a bit around my chest. And it wasn't the final product, obviously. And I was trusting the process. I'm not gonna lie, when I first took it off, I was freaking out a little. I'm like, what the fuck did I do to my body? Like I literally look concave. But I just had to like chill out for a sec. I literally ran to my closet, and there was like a ton of shirts that I had but I wouldn't wear because I felt insecure about them, because I thought my fucking cone titties would stick out of them, and like I just didn't feel good. First thing I did was try on a tank top, and like I couldn't get my arms above my shoulders, and you're like not supposed to, so I was like dinosaur arm like changing in and out of these tops like super carefully, and like my chest was so sore. And I remember I looked in the mirror when I would wear these like tops that I never felt comfortable wearing, and I fucking bawled my eyes out. I cried more than I had like probably most of my life. But like tears of joy. I was so happy. And I really just felt like, okay, now I can finally feel comfortable in my body. And I think a lot of the time, like, we all have, insecurities, and whatever it is, even if it seems stupid to other people, because there were people in my life where, like, I'd be like, oh, I'm uncomfortable wearing this tank top because of this. And they would be like, Krishay, what do you mean? Like, I literally don't see it. Or, like, I'd have guys, be like, oh, Krishay, like, that's not, like, literally, who cares? Like, I don't even see it. You know what I mean? But to me, it was a big deal, because I know there are people with, like, a lot more severe cases of gynecomastia. But it's like, it still affected me, like, tremendously. It took a while. I would say, like, probably 3 months before all of the bruising, like, went away, and it was, like, kind of looking how it was supposed to look. But I'd say, like, a year out. I'm probably almost, like, 2 years out now, and it's, like, totally fine. I have, like, most of the feeling back, and I feel fucking great. I wear shirts that I never would have worn before, and I feel fantastic. I have, like, built up my chest because I couldn't work out my chest for a long time, obviously, because I didn't want to, like, rip a stitch, and I didn't want it to, like, heal weird. Like, when I tell you, I wore that compression vest for probably, like, 3-4 months, because I was terrified that, like, they would just, like, grow back, even though, like, that's not, I think it can happen, but, like, it's kind of rare. But, like, I just didn't want them to, like, heal weird, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to, like, lopsided chest or something like that. But once I was able to start going back to the gym and get in my routine, I really, like, I don't know why, but I feel like I've seen the most growth in my chest since then. And maybe it's because, like, it's, like, emphasized now, but it feels amazing. It looks great. And I remember the first time that I was intimate with someone after getting this surgery, I just remember thinking, like, oh fuck, when I was taking off my shirt, they're gonna see it. And then I went, wait a minute. I'm tucked and sucked, babe. Like, there's nothing to see. At one point where, like, I was, like, kind of under him, and he, like, went and, like, put his hand on my chest, and I yelped. I was like, how? And he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, sorry, like, I just had surgery there, like, not too long ago. Like, it's really sensitive. I felt fucking fantastic. But I will say, do I still have insecurities? Yes. Do I feel a million times better? Yes. Would I go back and do it again? Abso-fucking-lutely. There are ways, I know, of, like, getting it covered by insurance. I know I ran into a friend who had the same surgery as me, like, probably a few months before, but he'd been working on getting it covered by insurance for, like, 4 years or something. Like it fucking, like, he started in high school and we were in university. So it was a long time, but I'm also really glad that I had him to ask questions about the whole process, and he was, like, super nice and super helpful about it. And I think a lot of the time it is something that feels really shameful. I like to make it a joke, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always, like, joking, like, oh, I had, like, boob surgery, oh, I had a boob job, like, because I think it's funny, and I'm not ashamed that I've had plastic surgery, because I feel fucking amazing about it. And that doctor truly changed my life. Like, there's weeks now where I will not even think about it. Like, I won't think about my chest or how it looks in a shirt. And, my insecurities have definitely shifted, for sure. Like, if you're not insecure about one thing, you're going to be insecure about something else. But at the end of the day, confidence is fake. And you just fake it till you make it. The insecurities that I have now are nowhere near the insecurity that I had in my chest before, and the insecurity that I had prior to plastic surgery. And so I think if, you're even thinking about getting plastic surgery, if it's something that you feel will make you feel better about yourself, and you have, like, the access and money to do it, why not? Do I think plastic surgery can be taken too far? Yes, but I also think it's the responsibility of the health provider to determine that. I can definitely see how it would be addictive. Like, you're doing these things and tweaking your body in a way where you're feeling better about yourself each time. Especially, I know, like, things with filler, like, if you do it slowly over time, like, you can kind of go blind to it, because you're just used to seeing yourself every day, but then someone you haven't seen in 10 years sees you and they're like, holy shit, why are your lips two fucking pillows? But also, if you want big ass fucking lips and like G cup like, do it. Literally do it. Like, if it makes you fucking happy, do it. And I think it's so much more normalized now, which is great, but I still think there is sometimes a stigma to it when there shouldn't be. Literally, who cares? And I wanted to get it done right away, and so I didn't get it covered through insurance. Like, I was like, I am probably going to back out of this if I don't like get the ball moving right now. And I think having it like lingering over me for years, I was like, oh, like I would rather just work two jobs and like save up and fucking do it than like have to deal with insurance companies, because we all fucking know insurance companies are scamming you, and fucking Luigi Mangione, our king, is like trying to like that whole thing. But it's like insurance companies are a pain to deal with, and especially something like this that could be considered cosmetic. Like, I would have had to go to like a psychiatrist and say like it affects my mental health, and like gone through all these loops when I was like, I can just work for a year, save up and fucking pay for it. Like, I'm going to do that. And I definitely am super grateful because I have so much help from my parents. I'd literally be fucking homeless on the street without them. Like, you know what I mean? I get so much, like my tuition, they help me with that. My rent, groceries. Like, I'm in dental school now, which is another whole thing. Like, I'm going to do an episode on living in Australia and everything that happened. But I was able to save this money because my parents were able to help me out so much that I didn't have to use that money to cover my basic necessities to live. And I'm so grateful for that, because I know that for a lot of people, that's not something that's very feasible. And it sucks when you're just dealt cards that are so much fucking harder. But like, I truly believe you'll figure it out. Like, you'll figure out a way somehow, someday, and like everything will work out. I truly, truly believe that. I mean, I don't even know how I got into fucking dental school, let's be honest. Like, I was supposed to be living in Berlin right now, and then 4 days before moved to Australia because I got into dental school, which was amazing. My biggest insecurity now is probably like my love handles, like on my lower, like kind of hips, you know? I feel like that's so common. And like, yeah, I'm like kind of insecure about it, but like I'm working on it. That's something I can totally fix. And honestly, like, I don't really care that much about it because like it's not that big of a deal, and I don't think about it like every day, and I'm not like, I don't know, I just like, you see all these people on Instagram who like, I don't know, like, you know, when you like put underwear on or like put a swimsuit on and like you have like that little like extra bit of fat like just kind of like curving out like from the pressure, and like you see people online and like they don't have that, and I'm like, damn, I'm trying to get like you, but like I just can't put the food down now. But that's a lot better problem to have than before, when I literally was like being forced by like fucking doctors to like shove it down my throat. So it's all about balance. But yeah, I think you can totally love yourself without plastic surgery, of course, but for me it changed my life for the better, and I'm so grateful I did it. And I think that I wanted to share this because it has been such a big change in my life, and I've told the people in my life, but I haven't really talked about it here or online. And you know, a lot of people don't know because it's like, well, why would they? I mean, it's not like you'd even notice if my shirt was off, but also not that many people are seeing me shirtless. Even though now you might want to. But yeah, so I hope this helps, and I love you so much if you've listened this far. If you want to follow me on TikTok at Chris J. Allen, or on Instagram at Chris J. Allen, or maybe on TikTok it's Diaries of a Homosexual. But you could look up either and I'll probably come up. Thank you so much. I love you. I feel like I've like rediscovered my passion for like, I don't know, I just like fucking love posting online. For so long I cared too much about what people think, and so it stopped me from posting. And in Australia, I kind of was at a point where I'm just like, wow, I have no fucking friends. I hate it here. I literally have nothing to lose. And so I started posting again, and I was like, wait, like I literally forgot how much I love doing this. So this is more for me than it is for you, but I hope it was helpful for you. And Thank you. Love you so much. Bye, homos.